Alright, good evening ladies. In today's video I want to go through whether or not I believe we're still in a bull market or if we're going straight into a multi-year bear market, or even if the bull market hasn't even started yet, because crypto Twitter just seems to have absolutely no idea. So I want to give you my estimates or my base case of what's going to happen over the next year and exactly what I'm doing for the next 3 to 6 months while we're in this downtrend. So first I want to pull up this Bitcoin chart. So from this chart, this is kind of a TLDR of what I'm thinking, but what I will say is Bitcoin goes into these ranges and a breakout or a breakdown of these ranges should be respected. So we had a massive long range at the bottom there from almost to the all-time high of 72k, and the bottom of that range was like 50k or so, and it kind of bounced in between those ranges, and when it did finally break out and make a higher high, it absolutely teleported up to 110k. Then we got in a new resistance between 110k and 90k, and when we did break down, we absolutely nuked out of it. So now I believe we're in this new range between the 90k region all the way down to, let's say, the previous all-time high, and that is 74k region. So right now Bitcoin is in no man's land, right about 84k, right in the middle of that range. So not really much you can do here. Is it a good time to be buying? Is it a good time to be selling? Both. The answer to both is yes, and the answer to both is also no. So I've kind of marked out what I'm thinking. If we get down to the bottom of the range, that's probably, if you're a leverage trader, not a bad place to open some longs, and there's a really nice buy zone at below the previous all-time high of 74k. I think anywhere from there to 65k is going to be a really nice buy zone. I think that will be most likely, that's where I think we will find a new accumulation range, and a new bottom will be formed there, hopefully coming out of that accumulation range towards sometime during the summer. But yeah, it seems like we do have a little bit lower to go. Now, obviously, there's going to be pumps along the way. There's going to be bounces. So, you know, you can't just mindlessly short. You have to wait for a bounce and then short that bounce. And I think if you are a leverage trader, if you are a trader, which I'm not really, but I do try and trade the odd time, I think a simple rule of thumb is if you're in a bull market, don't short. And if you're in a bear market, don't long. And currently, I think we're in a bear market. Now, do I think this is going to be a multi-year bear market? My base case is no. I don't think we're going to be in a multi-year bear market. I think it's going to be a short bear market. Hopefully like May 2021, where we had that like massive nuke and a bit of a bear market, a mini bear market within a bull market. Because very clearly Bitcoin has broken market structure, had this massive M pattern, and I think we need to create a base. We need to create an accumulation range before we can start trending up again. So that's kind of my TLDR on what I think is going to happen. And yeah, this is like a very crude drawing of what I hope will happen over the next year. But what are we going to be doing during these times while we're waiting for things to come back? So do I think a V-shaped recovery is possible? I think it's probably quite unlikely unless we get some sort of white swan event, like countries, a load of different countries having an arms race to buy as much Bitcoin as possible. So I don't think there's going to be a V-shaped recovery. I think it's going to take some time and some work for the bulls and for people to get what they deem is a cheap price for Bitcoin again. And that's probably around the previous all-time high, in my opinion. I do kind of think the 4-year cycle of Bitcoin might be over for the most part. And I do think as well, on top of that, like Bitcoin is becoming an established asset. It's going to kind of trend like the stock market is trending, and this dump is very much because of the dump in the stock market. And I don't think Bitcoin's going to be respecting the 4-year cycle as much going forward. That's also a positive though, because I also believe that the times for Bitcoin, the 80% pullbacks or the 80% bear markets minus 80% dumps that Bitcoin is used to, I think that's a thing of the past. I don't think that's probably ever going to happen again unless we get some absolute major parabola, like some crazy hyperbolic pump on Bitcoin. I think it's very unlikely that we're going to get another 80% nuke. We can already see that. In my opinion, that's like further justified by the fact that institutions have come in, and institutions are much quicker to take profits on the way up. So that's why Bitcoin doesn't really have these blow off tops anymore, kind of has these like rounded tops for the last couple of cycles. Kind of has these rounded tops, and I only think we went minus 80% in the last bull cycle because of all the blow ups like FTX and Luna and stuff. Like, I don't think that's going to happen again in this bull cycle, at the end of the bull cycle, unless we get to like, you know, hundreds of thousands of dollars per Bitcoin. In my personal opinion, I think the volatility of Bitcoin is going to go down, and I think a huge drawdown in the future of Bitcoin would be like 50%, which would put like Bitcoin at 55k from 108k if that was going to happen. I think that is because institutions, just like they're much more likely to sell on the way up, they're also much more likely to buy at the bottom, or not buy at the bottom necessarily, but buy after a 30% drop. They'll be like, okay, now this is a nice place that we can enter. Oh, 40% down, this is a nice place that we can enter. Whereas retail participants kind of, you know, are a little bit less sophisticated. They're like, oh, this is hot garbage, this is going down so much, I'm not going to buy at all until it starts trending up again. So what am I personally doing in this downtrend? I know I said I think the bottom is going to be in the, you know, 75k range, somewhere plus or minus 5 grand or something like that, or plus or minus 10 grand. I don't know, maybe the bottom is already in, but I'm not like a crazy trader or anything, and I don't think, most likely if you're watching, you're not going to be able to nail the perfect bottom either. So there's kind of two strategies if you want to reallocate your stables into the market. What I'm kind of thinking is, when we're in accumulation range again, when we're in kind of like a cheap buying zone, I think Bitcoin under 80k, for me, that's definitely cheap enough for me to start nibbling into it. I will just be DCAing into like dollar cost averaging into strong coins that I really want to hold over a multi-year time frame. And for me at the moment, there's only like 3 coins that I think are safe enough to hold over a multi-year time frame, and that's Bitcoin, which I'm always happy to buy more of. And you know, I sold actually a bit of Bitcoin at the top because I reallocated into alts because I thought the alt season was just about to happen. So made a big mistake there. Alt season still hasn't happened. Bitcoin strength has been absolutely insane, and I'll explain why I think that is. But yeah, the other coins that I'd be interested in accumulating during the accumulation phase that I think we're going to go into are Hyperliquid, Hype, and like that's the one I want to accumulate the most of personally, because I'd be happy to hold that over a multi-year time frame, and it seems to be at an absolute bargain-based price at the moment. And the other coin, of course, is Solana, but I'm already still heavily exposed to Solana, so I don't need to accumulate more. And I think a lot of people who are watching my videos probably already have a big bag of Solana as well. So kind of for me, the one I want to increase my holdings of is Hyperliquid. And the other strategies that you could do if you want to be a little bit more safe, you can wait till we get into the buy zone if we get there, and you can wait till we're in an uptrend again. It looks like we're in an uptrend, because there's always a possibility that we just crash through the buy zone and crypto is dead forever, and below 60k, below 50k, I think, you know, at that point it kind of seems like definitely the cycle is over, and crypto as a whole just looks pretty bad if we get that low. But so like there is always that risk if you're buying in the buy zone without first waiting for the uptrend to resume. There is always that risk that just nukes straight through the buy zone, nukes through the previous range, and then kind of crypto is toast, in my opinion, if that happens. Hopefully it doesn't. Wait for is the accumulation range to play out, and for higher lows and higher highs to be being put in on the chart again. So if that happened, that would probably be a nice, safer place to re-enter. Or if you wanted to be even safer still, you could wait till the breakout of 95k, and that's like a huge resistance. And if there's like a clean break of that, where you know it respects that, turns that 95k region into support again, it's time to get massively risk on probably at that point. And obviously you're going to miss a good bit of the upside, especially on altcoins, for that to happen. However, it's, you know, if you want to protect your cash, that's definitely a legitimate strategy. But for me, I'm probably just going to be DCAing over the coming months, and you know, I'm actually almost fully allocated anyway, so I don't have much cash to DCA. So the other things I will be doing during this time, I'm going to be airdrop farming massively, and the thing I'm airdrop and farming the most at the moment is Meteor, which I've talked about a lot, and of course, Sonic. So watch my video on Sonic if you want to farm that. I think that's going to be a very tasty airdrop as well. But I think airdrop farming is kind of a low risk thing to be doing in such scenarios. If you want to still be clicking buttons, or you can just forget about the markets, stay fully in stables, and just chill out for a few months and come back when the bull market's resuming, or if the bull market resumes. Would I be buying other altcoins in this scenario, like meme coins that are down 90%? I think you have to be very, very careful doing that. And other altcoins that aren't very strong and don't have like really good revenues or good fundamentals behind them, you, in my opinion, you have to be very, very careful. Like, I know there's always the temptation, oh, it's down 90%. Even if it gets back to 50% of its all-time high, that's a 5x. Yeah, but if Bitcoin breaks down, that's going to go down another... If Bitcoin breaks down 10%, that meme coin's probably going to go down another 50%. So, like, with those kind of very risky stuff, especially the old memes, I think they're going to take a long time to come back. And if I was to be playing in the meme coin trenches at the moment, I think actually the trenches are unironically the safest place. It's the safest time to ever enter the trenches right now. All the scammers are gone because, you know, there's not that much money to extract from the trenches anymore. So it's kind of, you know, there's a smaller pool of people, and, you know, it's much more organic at the moment. So there are a couple of coins that have taken off. Please went to 30 million, which isn't like very high, 40 million, maybe 50 million or something like that. And you had loads of time to enter into it. I think we talked about it like 10 million, and yeah, cheeky 4x. And I think the Lion, I won't say the full name of the coin because it's not YouTube appropriate, but there are some coins that instead of just like instantly going to 100 million or instantly going to 200 million and then just instantly dumping when the insiders cash out, you have to be like a sniper to make money. You have plenty of time to be like, okay, that's actually a funny meme. It kind of reminds me of the early meme season on Solana a long time ago. So if you do want to enter the trenches, it's actually probably not a bad time, but, you know, just be careful at the same time. So airdrop farming, you can even enter back into the trenches. So I want to go back to the point that we no longer have 4-year cycles, and whether or not the cycle has even started. So unironically, maybe the cycle hasn't even started. Now, obviously the cycle is like Bitcoin has gone on a crazy run from 15K to 110K. But the rest of the crypto total market cap, if you look at total 3, hasn't gone that crazy, like in comparisons to previous cycles. Now, there's a couple of reasons for this. Obviously, there's way more altcoins, so it's really hard to, there was no broad altcoin season where every altcoin went crazy. You just had to be a monkey throwing darts and you would have made money. Like, those times are definitely behind us. That only happened because in 2021, everyone got stimulus checks and money printing was going crazy, and there was a slightly smaller pool of altcoins that people could invest in. So now there's like 1 million altcoins, there's like 10,000 new meme coins per day. So it's very hard for your meme coin or your altcoin to stand out. And the whole VC insider extraction cabal, like that first happened in the VC space. I think that's still there, like all these infrastructure plays that no one fucking uses. And people got in at a very low market cap in the pre-seed and then are opening up at billion-dollar valuations. No one wants that because the upside is so limited. So, you know, it's really hard to pick the right altcoin. Well, it's not really hard, but you have to be much more selective picking altcoins right now. And I think in times like this, you want to pick altcoins with good fundamentals. I'll mention a few, but you probably know the ones that I like. But even if the US gets stimulus checks again, I do think you're going to have to be more selective with the altcoins that you're picking. And I do think there is a possibility of stimulus checks from Doge. Like, I know Elon mentioned that they were going to give 5K to everyone with the savings from Doge. Now, I don't think they'll give 5K to everyone. I don't think they've actually saved that much money. Maybe, well, I think they saved like 500 billion or something. So I know that I said that that's not that much money, but it's not as much as they previously anticipated they would be able to save. And I don't think if they would give the entire savings to US Americans because they want to keep inflation down. So if you want to keep inflation down, you don't really want to be giving out two massive stimulus checks. But potentially if inflation looks good and Doge looks well and Trump and Elon want to boost their popularity again, they might give out a stimulus check for like $1,000, and that would be really good for the altcoin space. So that's really what it needs. But you do have to be more selective. Has the cycle even started? The cycle for altcoins didn't really happen, in my opinion. And I think Bitcoin mostly pumped on the back of Michael Saylor. Michael Saylor bought, I think, 30 or 40% of all Bitcoin inflows in 2024 were Michael Saylor. And he's going to buy another 25 billion of Bitcoin in the next few months. He's doing that Stark convertible bond thing. So most of the gains from Bitcoin came from one player and a little bit from Bitcoin ETFs as well. I feel like almost no new capital came into the altcoin space whatsoever. And even like the massive pump in Solana, that wasn't new entrants coming in so much. Like obviously it was a little bit, but I think most of that was just people bridging from Ethereum, selling their Ethereum and buying Solana. So it was just like the reduction in Ethereum's market cap was boosting the market cap of Solana. And then all the entire meme coin space was just people taking the new wealth that they made in Solana and buying meme coins with it. If you buy a meme coin with your Solana, so say you buy 100 Solana for 10 grand back in the day, or whatever that was, back when it was $30, say you buy 10 grand worth of Solana, and then you take that 10 grand worth of Solana and buy a meme coin with it, that doesn't affect, like you buying the meme coin doesn't affect the price of Solana. The new increased price of Solana stays high and the price of the meme coin goes up against USD. So it's kind of like a little Ponzi where you go from Solana, you buy the Solana with USD, which increases the price of Solana versus USD, but you buying a meme coin doesn't affect, like you selling the Solana to buy a meme coin just makes the price of the meme coin go up. It doesn't make the price of Solana go down, essentially. So that's kind of like where all the capital that went into the altcoin space, that's what happened to it. There wasn't actually a huge amount of fresh retail coming in. And actually all the retail, all the celebrities and retail actually took money out of the ecosystem, net probably, with all those scams and stuff that happened. So if we were to get like a massive increase in liquidity, which it does look like we're going to get towards the latter half of this year, and the business cycle and all the macro stuff does look like it's looking good for the later on in the year, I do think that's when Bitcoin can break new all-time highs, and there will be, hopefully with the extra liquidity coming into the markets, the Nasdaq will be looking good, the S&P 500 will be looking good, and then actually we might get a little bit of a retail season. Maybe we have to wait until late 2025 or even 2026, but yeah, that's kind of what I'm thinking. So to summarize, do I think the lows are in for Bitcoin? Probably not. We probably have a little bit further to go, but I think the lows are close. And I think we're in a short bear market. I think the 4-year cycles are over, and I think right now you can either, take a little holiday, or you can be doing airdrop farming or providing liquidity, buying new meme coins, dollar cost averaging into coins that you think have very strong fundamentals. Off the top of my head, that would be stuff like Solana, Hyperliquid, and Grass maybe. Alright, so that's my thoughts. That's what I'm going to be doing over the next few months. Hope you enjoyed the video. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Cheers.